Hello and welcome to my long-awaited Kingdom of Souls review. That was a joke. I'm sure this wasn't that long-awaited, nobody really cares, but I'm here to do this review anyway because I said I would do it, and so I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna put this book now. This is an arc that I received from the publisher in exchange for an honest review, and this is that review 3 months later. It's fine. Thank you to HarperCollins for sending me this book. I appreciate it so much. Before we start, look at my cat. Oh my god, he's so cute. Kingdom of Souls, if you don't already know, is about Ara, who is born into a powerful family of witch doctors, and Ara yearns for magic of her own, but each year she fails to call forth her ancestral powers while her disapproving mother looks on. There was only one thing that Ara hasn't tried, a deadly last resort, trading years of her own life in exchange for magic. Until the kingdom's children begin to disappear and Ara becomes desperate to help figure out where they're going. As she does this, she uncovers something worse. She discovers that the long-imprisoned Demon King is waking up, and if he rises, his hunger for souls will bring the world to its knees unless Ara can put a stop to it. This is set in a world where magic exists, obviously, and the people who can use magic, are known as witch doctors. Ara's father is a powerful witch doctor. He is a powerful healer. And her mother is the high priestess of the kingdom. It's called Ka Priestess in the book, and Ka is soul. I'm not really sure what it means, but it means she's like third in charge of like their kingdom. Unfortunately, I didn't love this book as much as I thought I would, but I did still enjoy it. My biggest issue was just that I was confused a lot of the time while reading it. While I was engaged with it, I just sometimes didn't know what was happening. There were small things that confused me, such as like words that were being used. I just didn't know what they meant a lot of the time, and it was hard for me to figure them out with context clues. Maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention or anything. My art copy didn't have a glossary, and as far as I know, the finished copy also does not have a glossary, or at least that's what I've seen said in other people's reviews of it. So there's that. I should mention this video is spoiler free. If you have not read this book yet, then I do not give away anything more than the synopsis, I believe. Time figure things in the plot also confused me at some point. Like the way time passes is messed with. I won't say any specific way, but it made it really hard to keep track of the timeline or what was going on when. And I was already confused by things that happened. And after finishing the book and really thinking about it, a lot of the things that happened, it didn't really make sense for them to happen, in my opinion, and it didn't really make sense for them to happen when they did. The plot was pretty slow paced for the majority of the book, which I tend to not mind. I enjoy being taken on a journey, and I enjoyed that the journey the main character was going on. I thought it was interesting to follow her through that journey, if that made sense. Although there were some points where the main character is literally going from one place to another place, back to the first place, back to the other place, and I felt like those parts could have been tightened up. We could have, combined some things. It felt really weird and like just there for the sake of being there. So that's the plot and just the general overarching story of the plot, I guess. This again goes back to me being confused a lot of the time. I didn't quite understand why some things happened. They were kind of weird. Didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And there were also these chapters where so in this world, there are gods, and some of the chapters we get to hear from the gods, and I thought those were so interesting. I loved having those included in the story, and I thought those were especially well done, and the way they were used was really well done, so I appreciated that part, and how they went into the plot also, I really appreciated. The gods are called Orishas, in case you're wondering. Okay, so I looked up Orishas because this is going to get a lot of comparisons to Children of Blood and Bone because they use the same type of mythology, I guess. But the name of the Orishas I could not find anywhere online. I don't know if I'm bad at Googling or what. So it seems like this mythology was just completely made up by the author. I'm not sure, but keep that in mind. And because of that, the world I thought was super interesting, especially if the author just created this whole mythology. I thought the way the Orishas used magic was really cool, and I really enjoyed that part of the story. And I thought the whole idea of the world the book is set in was really cool as well. However, I wish that the lore of the Orishas was explained a bit more, because this is the first book in the series. It's supposed to be a lot of setup anyway. I wish they had just set that part up too, because again, I was confused sometimes. And I just didn't have as much understanding as I wanted to. I was also confused about the actual geographical locations of things. and the various settings that the book used. The main character, Ara's grandmother, is from somewhere called the Tribal Lands, and Ara lives somewhere else, but it didn't really make sense to me. It was like the capital city, but the capital city seemed very separate from the Tribal Lands. I'm not sure if they were governed by the same thing. Like, that whole part of the world I felt like wasn't explained as well enough, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but I just didn't know what was going on with like the political system and things. It seemed like that the tribes were run by individual like chiefs and chieftains, I think, but then the city had like a king. Like, who is the king in relation to the tribes? And I didn't understand that really. So if someone could explain that to me, that'd be cool. But yeah, that was another thing that I think wasn't well explained. For the characters, they were hit or miss for me. Ara's the main character, I thought was interesting, but also kind of stupid. Like, not stupid, but I just don't think she did the smartest things. I feel like most YA main characters, they just never do the smartest things. But the inciting incident for this whole story did not make sense to me at all. It did not, like, it just seemed like Ara had to do something so that we could start the book. So she just did that. It didn't make sense why she did that. And Ara's relationships with the other characters in the story, I just didn't feel for, and I didn't find them all that believable. The only relationships that I believed was her relationship with her father. She has a very loving relationship with her father, which I appreciated seeing. And she also has great love for her grandmother, which I believed. Like, the way it was expressed and shown, I believed. But Ara has a fraught relationship with her mother in the beginning of the book, and it didn't really seem all that explained why it starts off that way. Ara and her mother are distant because Ara lacks magic, but Ara's feelings towards her mother at the beginning of the book just didn't make sense to me. And that's more of a spoiler, so if you want to discuss it, we can talk about it in the comments down below. Ara's relationship with her friends, really, it didn't seem like she had friends. It seemed like she had a love interest, and her love interest had friends who were her friends, but they didn't really seem like her friends. They seemed like her love interest's friends. Anything that implies that they had like an intense friendship didn't make sense to me. Ara's relationship with her love interest, I sort of kind of believed. I don't know. I didn't care for it, but I didn't hate it, so it was fine. And so overall, I did enjoy this book. I probably harped on the negative a lot in this review. I feel like I do that in almost all my reviews, so if you're here on this channel, you already know about it. If you're just discovering me for the first time through this video, that's how I am. But I did have a good time reading it. Even though I was confused a lot of the time, I was captivated enough to try and figure out what was going on, to keep reading it. I wanted to see how it all ended. If you're not as nitpicky as me, maybe you will enjoy it even more than I did. If you love like mythology in general, I think that you'll enjoy this, even though, like I said, I don't think the lore is as explained as it could have been, but I think that in the second book, it will get more details. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited that more and more fantasy featuring Black main characters is being introduced. Not just Black main characters, but basically everybody's Black, and I like that, you know. I will definitely be reading the next book when it comes out, and hopefully that book will make things clearer. And that's all I have to say about this book. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any opinions about what I just talked about, please leave a comment down below. And what else is there to say? Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.